let wahala hold me down. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't go let wahala hold me down. Oh yeah, I don't go let I don't go let wahala hold me down.
No matter what they say, we move.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning, getting set for another day. Another chance to change my story. I believe in my hustle. I know be lazy person, oh. But life is just a knock me gospels. If it don't close, I go find another. If I fall down, I go try to recover. If you never walk me, I know they bother. Cause I believe say I go surely prosper. You don't get that see one be, we move. No matter what they do, we move. Ooh, yeah. Say we move. No matter what they do, we move. I don't go let wahala hold me down. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't go let wahala hold me down. Oh yeah, I don't go let wahala hold me down. I don't go let wahala hold me down.
No matter what they say, we move.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning, getting set for another day. Another chance to change my story. I believe in my hustle. I know be lazy person, oh. But life is just a knock me gospels. If it don't close, I go find another. If I fall down, I go try to recover. If you never walk me, I know they bother. Cause I believe say I go surely prosper. You don't get that see one be, we move. No matter what they do, we move. Ooh, yeah. Say we move. No matter what they do, we move. I don't go let wahala hold me down. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't go let wahala hold me down. Oh yeah, I don't go let wahala hold me down. I don't go let wahala hold me down. o'clock in the morning, getting set for another day. Another chance to change my story. I believe in my hustle. I don't be lazy person, no. But life is just a knock me gospels. If it don't close, I go find another. If I fall down, I go try to recover. If it never walk me, I know they bother. Cause I believe say I go surely prosper. You don't get that say one be, we move. No matter what they do, we move. Ooh, yeah. Say we move. No matter what they do.
Hi, everybody. Can we all see and hear me? Just checking.
Yes, very well. We can hear you, man. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another read meeting. My name is Kemi Ogushakin. I'm today's host, and I'm very excited. I want to say thank you to our coach, Tuminino, for giving me this opportunity to host today. I'm very excited about our speakers today, Olanrewaju and Olayinka Oyetuji. We welcome you. I hope logging on and everything was good for you and not too bad. The joys of technology and Zoom. So we just have a minute to reflect on everything like we've learned this month. We're a voracious reading community. We try to encourage each other in, developing ourselves, especially in the area of finances, developing ourselves emotionally, physically, encouraging each other. And part of the scheme for that is our Zoom talks, monthly Zoom talks, where we have one or two speakers to share experiences with us and to help us, in improving ourselves, to let us know that we're not the only ones. There's nothing new under the sun. People have been through everything we think we are going through, and they've been successful with it. So we can't wait to hear our two speakers today. We just have some icebreaker questions here. Like some things that we could reflect upon and think upon, or if you have any answers to it, you can either type it into the speech, but I think we'll type it because we don't have, I think I have 1 more minute now before I begin to introduce my first speaker. So 1 second, one food for thought, a question for us. If we experience our greatest moments of growth and learning from failure, why are we so afraid to fail? Does anybody have a brilliant answer to that or a thought to that? Why are we all so afraid to fail if we experience our greatest moments of growth and learning from failure? So I'll leave that food for thought with us. I'll let whoever has an answer to that put it. But I mean, it's a bit of a rhetorical question. It's something that we could think about as we listen to our brilliant speakers today. Now, the next thing, okay. Oh, I have 10 minutes. So yeah, there's time to take your answers to that. Can anybody help us? There's no right or wrong answer. Can anybody help us with that? Even our speaker, coach, anybody can, if you have a food for thought, you can give us. Then another question is, if you had the opportunity to go back in time to change something, would you? What would that be? I mean, thinking of the first question, why are we? Okay, someone's asking again. Can we have the first question? The first question is, if we experience, I think we can all agree, firstly, that we experience our greatest moment of growth and learning from failure. I think we can all think back to that time where we have had what we thought was devastating failure at the time, what we thought, oh, this is too much for me, I can't bear it. And we realized that we on hindsight, we realized that we experienced our greatest moment of growth and learning from it. So if we can look back and say, well, we did experience growth and learning from this failure, why are we so afraid to fail? So I guess the question is, why are we afraid to fail? Why are we afraid to fail? Because I think, given our educational system and everything, we've been programmed in a way to just want success. Like success is the only option, like immediate success at least. But we can see that, hang on, I have some. So we have some responses here. Thank you, Offems. Okay, someone is saying, if I have the opportunity to change anything in the past, I will love to rethink some decisions in my life. Yeah, definitely, I can agree with that. I can agree with that. That's our second question. Anyway, without further ado, we can still, you're not limited to, to give the answer. You can give it even as the speakers carry on. But without further ado, let me get on with the, sorry guys, I keep having to, because everything is just on technology, there's nothing on paper. I keep having to scroll up and down my phone to get what I need. So bear with me 1 second. Bear with me. Okay, so now I would invite our coach, our lovely coach, Mrs. Tuminino Adepoju, to tell us about RAID and what to expect from today's webinar. Ituno, please. Mrs. Adepoju, over to you.
Thank you very much, Kemi. That was awesome. Offense, please, can we have that video again? Can we have the video? I just want us to watch it one more time before I speak.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning, getting set for another day. Another chance to change my story. I believe in my hustle. I know be lazy person, oh. But life is just a knock me gospels. If it don't close, I go find another. If I fall down, I go try to recover. If you never walk me, I know they bother. Cause I believe, say, I go surely prosper. You don't get that see one be, we move. No matter what they do, we move. Ooh, yeah. Say we move. No matter what they do, we move. I don't go let wahala hold me down. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't go let wahala hold me down. Oh yeah. I don't go let wahala hold me down. down.
No matter what they say, we
Hello, everybody. Can we hear me? Good evening. Welcome to another awesome time with Read. I welcome you to this month's episode, and believe me, it is going to be overwhelming. Thank you so much, Kemi, for that wonderful intro. Thank you, Ofems, for the video. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. My name is Adepoju Oluwatsumininu, and I'm broadcasting live from Abuja. I know that Kemi is in the UK. I know Yinka is going to be joining us from Lagos. So please, can you tell us where you are joining from? What part of the world are you? What part of Nigeria? What part of Africa are you? Please, from the chat room, in the chat room, let's buzz up the chat. Let's buzz up the chat. Where are you joining us from? I'm telling you, I'm saying hello from Abuja. Where are you? Mercy from Abuja. Mercy, welcome. Mufems from Abuja. Mufems, welcome. 3 more responses and we move. We move. Dr. Gaji, welcome. Niyi from Lagos. Welcome. Oluwale from Lagos. I see you. Temitope Ikweva, Abuja. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So today, we are going to be discussing about the elephant in the room. You know the way it is now. There's this big elephant in the room. Everybody can see the elephant. Everybody's moving around the elephant, but nobody's talking about the elephant. We are talking about failure. Kemi started with asking a very good, a very valid question. If we know that failure brings in lessons, why are we so afraid to fail? Food for thought. So I'm sure that by the end of this webinar, we will be able to get strength, get courage, and we are going to keep it real here. We are going to keep it very open, and that is why I had to have Ofem replay that video for us so that we can see different people's experiences. So I don't know who wants to share with us. What have you done before that has failed? Moment of truth. What have you done before that has failed? Yeah, who is ready to bail the cat? Who is going first? What have you done before that has failed? Who is starting first? Elephant in the room. Who is starting? Who is starting? Don't worry, this one I will put you on the spot. Okay, so I'm not seeing any chat and investment. Me, you don't go there. I'm not the one speaking today. Somebody said I tried selling mango and I ended up eating everything. Yeah, business, yeah. Applied for master scholarship. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm loving the response. We are being vulnerable here. Excellent, excellent. That's actually part of the reason why I'm really looking forward to this. Would be learning about failure. What exactly is failure? Because the truth is, in life, if we don't know how to fail, we cannot succeed. And we live in a very competitive environment where the environment has expectations. They're the multi-level marketing business. As in, I'm sure that we want to live today for stories. Waiting Musa never to forget. Anyway, we live in a very competitive environment where you are being rated against your siblings. Can't you see your sister? Your sister just wrote exam once. You want to disgrace the family name. We are being rated against our classmates. In fact, somebody was saying that you don't see where your classmates are. You don't see where your classmates are. That thing has led more people into depression and the graveyard than we know it. And the social media is not helping. Yes, we have thank God for technology. Technology is the reason why we are here. But we can't shy away from the pressure the technology is putting on us. In this world where you are seeing 28-year-old CEOs now, you are seeing 16-year-old graduates, you are seeing that this one has finished from Harvard at the age of 15. And if care is not taken, you are like, what on earth am I doing with my life? And I trust that by the end of today, we will be able to get renewed vigors and be able to compare ourselves with ourselves and laugh over, sometimes we take life too seriously, honestly. You'll be able to laugh at yourself and move forward, because the truth is everybody fails. Everybody fails. I don't want to take our time, but I must share the story of Thomas Edison with us, the guy that gave us light bulb. The guy failed 1,000 times. He could have given up. In fact, I'm like, is this guy real? Who fails 1,000 times? Aside from Thomas Edison, who does that? But thank God he kept at it, and he had his success story. So for people joining us for the first time, and those of you that have joined us before now, this is the Read community, and we are literally that. We are reading ourselves out of ignorance. We are reading ourselves out of poverty. We are reading ourselves out of everything, and we are approaching life with vigor and knowledge. Read is actually an acronym. R starts from Raising Ethical Millionaires. E stands for expanding the mind through acquiring knowledge. Like we'll be doing today, we'll be getting knowledge from experts in the field, people that have actually failed, and they are vulnerable and strong enough to come and share their stories. Then A stands for application of knowledge, because it's actually not knowledge that is power, it's the application of the knowledge. You would agree with me that if you do just 20% of what you know, your life will not be where you are. So we track ourselves, we hold ourselves accountable, and we apply what we've learned. And this stands for doing first things first. In this world where so many things are jumping at you, I'm sure for all of you here, you are not here because you are not busy, but you're here because you have to prioritize the soul. We constantly look at our schedules and look at what is taking priority and what we need to do for. So simply, that is us as Read. I'm not going to take your time anymore. The speakers are itching to talk to us, talk to the world. So I want to hand over back to Kemi. Please stay back, take your notepad and your book and take notes. Thank you very much. My name is Tuminino Adepoju.
Thank you for that, Itunu. Thank you very much. Our speakers today, I'm so excited. I'm really, really excited to introduce them, but I will not take too much of your time because I have to do introduction of both the speakers now. I know I'm hearing talk of a slide, but I have my notes here if the slide is not on, as long as everybody can hear me. Okay, we have a screen share now. Thank you so much for that slide. We can see I'm trying to find the right word to use now, but the level, I'm sure that's the wrong one. I'm looking for a better word, but the level of the speakers we have today. I'm biased today because I have literally a childhood friend. I'm one of the speakers, which is Olanrewaju. We're talking failing forward. Basically, is her middle name. She has faced some tough situations in life, which she probably will, she would discuss, she'll share with us in her talk tonight. It's just amazing. Like, some of the hairs on my body literally stood on end when she was sharing some of her life experiences with me. We've known each other since we were like 11 years old. So we've gone way back. And she's a real shining beacon and a real example of resilience and bouncing back from adversity. So I just need, sometimes, no matter how tough the situation, I just need to remember what my friend Ife has gone through in her life and to say, look, Kemi, you can bounce back. It will not kill you. If it won't kill you, to make you stronger, like that song. I think it's an American artist that sung that. So if it does, whatever doesn't kill you will make you stronger. And we're here today to learn more about that. So we have seen everything is out there on the slide. So please permit me to welcome my wonderful childhood friend, resilient woman of God, multimillionaire, Ife Olanrewaju. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can. So I hope everybody, I think everybody can.
Very much so. We can hear you, ma'am.
All right.
We can.
And can you see me? Because I can't see myself.
Yes, we can see
great.
you clearly. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, Reed NGR. I must commend, sincerely, I wasn't expecting this kind of setup, but I'm really impressed, I must say. And when I was going through my profile, I was wondering, is this me that is being introduced here? I love the video, and I think I need to contact the person who handles your videos. It's really beautiful. And that video in the beginning about failure and all, it really caught my attention. That's a very good one. I commend the team and every one of you that put this together. Thank you for inviting me, and I wouldn't be wasting time. We'll be going straight into today. I wish I could see myself on the screen so that I'll know when I'm making any gestures that are not correct, because I can't see myself on the screen. Is it possible? Kemi?
I think that might be your computer effect. If you switch to not just active speaker, a gallery view on Zoom. If you can find gallery view,
okay, let me see.
You'll probably be able to see yourself
yes, I can see
along
myself.
with everybody else.
Yes. Thank
cool.
you. Great. All right. So good evening, everyone. For those of us that are in this part of the time zone where it's evening, and good afternoon, good morning to any other person that is from any other time zone. Once again, I appreciate and commend the coordinators of this platform. And I must tell you that this platform is a platform of powerful people. Anybody or group of persons who come together to read are people that can change the world. So I know I'm speaking to world changers here, and I must give it to you today for this. I can imagine how busy people can be on a Saturday to have this number of people to gather together for a book review. It is highly commendable. And when I was told that the book being read is Failing Forward by John C. Maxwell, it just resonated with me because I have read this book also, and I've done a book review on it at some point in time, sometimes last year. And I see myself in the book. From the story I'm going to be sharing today, you'll be hearing a lot of personal things, and you'll be doing your own deductions. I told the coordinator, I said, today is not PowerPoint. We're not here to do training. We're here to tell stories that people can learn from. And I've come to understand that in teaching, one of the ways we are able to communicate the content of what we're passing across, one of the best ways is by storytelling. And today, welcome to listen to my story on how failure happened, or I went through a phase called failure, and today the story is different. All right, so let's start from the beginning. I finished from school in 2021, 2001. And I relocated to Abuja to join my husband after I got married. Along the line, I'll do a lot of fast forward so I don't bore you because I know I have very limited time here. I got to start working in a travel and tourism agency, which was a partnership between a family relative and I. And the partnership was not properly done. It was more of a verbal understanding. I like you, you like me, we're cousins, we're friends, we're sisters, you know, and then we started business. I'll give you a little background to how it was. I was working in a school at the time, a primary school at that. And this family relative, who happens to be a cousin, owned a travel agency and wanted to start a branch of the agency in Abuja, where I reside. Needed somebody she could trust, needed somebody she could rely upon. And of course, knowing that I was based in Abuja was a good opportunity for her to, I would say, to dump the responsibility on me. Of course, she came to ask if it's something I would like to do, and I accepted with all joy, because prior to that time, I have been reading a lot of books, management, entrepreneurship. So I'd been looking for an opportunity to let out those things that I had read. So it came at a good time. We talked about the fact that opportunity, always preparedness is what makes us to be able to take advantages of opportunities. So as at that time, I was ready, because I was like an admin officer in the school, and most of the time I was always reading other books. So that was why I said, for those of us that are reading on this platform, it's a very good avenue for us to be able to scale up beyond many of our colleagues who are not doing the same. So she came, and then we had the verbal understanding that, okay, since she has a very thriving office in Lagos, she needed an outlet in Abuja whereby all her Abuja clients would not need to always tag them in Lagos. As at that time, it's not like today that everything is electronic. We're talking of 2003. Even GSM was just new at that time in Nigeria, and then the world of the internet had not yet, it was far from what we have today. So most things were still done manually. You know, they do tickets in Lagos, they send it through ABC or through a night bus or through somebody coming by air. It was very rigorous, and it would have been just easy to have an outlet in Abuja where people can come and then just do their business. So fast forward, the business picked off. My cousin returned to Lagos. We set up the office, and she gave me 50,000 naira and told me, Ife, this is all I'm going to give you after setting up this place. This is all I'm going to give you. Sort out yourself, pay the staff. So I did the recruitment, I did the hiring, I did basically everything after the setup of the office. And we had an understanding that this is my branch. Run it the way you run it independently, just bear the name. That's the understanding we had. And I went with that understanding and with that zeal and with that energy. Everything that had locked up in me was ready to be burst out, was ready to be let out for use. And I gave it my best shot. Fast forward to a few years down the line, our office began to get awards for best sales in different airlines. We started becoming recognized. The Abuja branch started becoming a force to be reckoned with. Our sales was really good, and Lagos was seeing everything that was happening. Like I said, it was like a partnership, because we were running independent of the head office, but we're bearing the same name. So we had our understanding, verbal understanding of how we transacted business between one another, how we moved money from one branch to the other and all that. Along the line, I started with the understanding I started gaining. I started reading on so many things. I began to see that the partnership was not proper. And I knew that it was a matter of time before this thing will become an issue, because we had started becoming like Abraham and Lot. Each person was having their own flock, and it was becoming such that if we did not separate, there would have been an issue eventually. And the issue is the crux of the story that I'm going to share today. By 2009, I started getting very uncomfortable, what we call intuition. Please never doubt your intuition, even when the physical indices do not seem to add up. I started having an intuition to leave the partnership, to bring it up that let's define what we're doing. I can't be verbally knowing that I am in charge and there's no document that backs me up. If anything happens, I can be thrusted out like anything. There was nothing to hold us together. And I started making the move for us to have that conversation. But for some reason, that conversation never saw the light of day. By 2010, I sent a letter that I was intending to leave the partnership, and I needed us to tidy the books. So I was going to give a full year notice of the fact that I was going to leave by December of 2010, so that if there are anything that we need to resolve, if there's anything that we need to clear out within my 8 years of working here, it will be good we use this year to tidy it up. If there's any hard feeling, if there's any issue, if there's anything about money that is not clear, I would really appreciate it that we sort it out. And for some reason, she didn't take it kindly. And as far as she was concerned, Abuja, she doesn't have any business with Abuja office. If I know I was not going to run the place, I should just shut it down, let the staff go and lock the office. I felt disappointed because we had already built a brand in Abuja. And I began to use that year to put things in order, trying to ensure that all our customers begin to know that I was going to leave. And it was important that they know that very soon this office may shut down. And, you know, it wasn't really, I really didn't enjoy that year because I felt there was something hanging that I couldn't place on, because how can you just tell me to shut down because I want to leave? I felt it would have been proper to just send somebody to understudy me for 1 year and then we'll take it over. So by December, somebody was sent from Lagos office to receive all the documents of the office and all that. Because whether we like it or not, even though we had our own CAC registration separately, we were still tied to the head office. We're branched to the head office. We had our own operating license, rather not CAC. We had our own operating license, but we're operating under the head office. So we're still the same company anyway. It was just a branch outlet. By December, somebody came and I handed over the documents of the office. God had enabled us so much during our time that I was able to buy our office space. The property that we used that we rented in 2003 eventually became the office property, to show you how much we were engraced during the period that I worked there. Without recourse to the head office, we paid single-handedly for that shop in Wusetu. So the office has a property in the prime Ademola Adetokunbo street of Wusetu today. We had office vehicles that I purchased in the name of the company. So those are the things that I felt we needed to hand over properly. We had people who were owing refunds and all that I needed to tidy up. So I did a lot of documentation, and there was no talk about anything about there was really no full deep conversation on this. And we parted. I told them already that by December I was leaving, and I did a proper handing over note. I tried to make it as detailed as possible. I even gave them contact of all our major clients so that they could reach out to them, which they did. The person who came from Lagos actually went to visit all of them. I hope I'm not boring you with these details, but I feel you need to understand the details of what happened before we enter into the main crux of the story of failure. December 2021, 2010, I handed over officially the keys, the vehicle, the property, the papers and everything that we used to do business, everything was handed over. And I knew that I needed to start my own because I already had the mind of starting my own. So I already registered a year prior to that time. I had already done CSC registration and all. So my leaving that place forced me to have to get an office space, so which I did with ease. Of course, having worked in a place for 8 years, I already had savings and all that I had put together for that purpose. And I rented an office and we started business because I had a lot of customers who I got as a result of my own hard work, not because they knew the company and all that. And I couldn't just let them be in the wind like that. So we had to just continue business, even though in my mind, I had the mind of starting business a year after. I wanted a clear break so that I'll start. But when they said they will shut down, I had to start off immediately so that my customers don't just, I didn't want them to just scatter like that. Even though if I had taken a break, I would have been comfortable with the fact that they will still be with the office. And when I start, anybody who still wants to do business with me will do. And I knew that if I could start a company from zero and build the big clientele, it's a matter of starting all over again. Another set of clients will come to me. That was the mindset I had. Fast forward to May 2011, the 5th of May, I would never forget that day. I had a knock on my door in my office and I had EFCC operatives bang into my office in Garki Area 11. Very small cubicle that I rented for the purpose of doing my travel business. And I had quite a number of operatives. They came with vehicles and with Hilux vehicles. And I was wondering, I thought maybe there was one high profile person they wanted to arrest in the area. I didn't know that I was the person. And they came and they said that, Madam, we have the warrant to arrest you for fraud, and I was like, excuse me, I don't understand. Maybe you got the wrong office. And they said, yes, they are from EFCC Lagos. They are not even Abuja EFCC. They came from Lagos and they're in partnership with the EFCC in Abuja to arrest me for defrauding my former office. And I said, defraud how? How did you come about defraud? Well, he said, there's a petition to of fraud of 70 million. And I said, 70 million? Where? How? When? In short, that night I didn't sleep in my house. And for 1 week, I didn't sleep in my house. I was in EFCC custody. I was arrested. Everything about me came crashing down that day. It was a very terrible downside of my life. Knowing that this is coming from family and without prior notice, without any prior discussion, without any inclination or discussion that probably didn't go well, and then I was arrested. My office almost shut down, but thank God I had capable and good hands who were like my assistant. I just had 2 people working with me. They were trustworthy. So I had to hand over my phones to them. They had to help me manage the customers that were calling at that period. And I was in EFCC custody for 5 days. Even my husband could not see me, except through maybe when they come for visitation and they drop something for me to read and then I return it to them. It was a very painful time of my life, knowing that I have worked with my whole life in a business that I thought I had a stake in because we are related by blood. And to hear this after I gave you a whole 1 year notice for us to resolve if there's any issue, and to see this 5 months down the line, it made me see that I was actually sitting on a keg of gunpowder and I never knew it. Fast forward to a few days, I was transferred to Lagos EFCC. So we moved from Abuja, we moved to Lagos, and the case continued in Lagos. And you know that Lagos people are not as nice as Abuja people. For those people who have had experience with EFCC, they are not as nice. And that's how I started writing statements, having mug shots of me with this paper that you will hold, and they will say, arrested for embezzlement or so and so, the side view, the front view. Very embarrassing, very shameful. People kept coming. My family tried to intervene. The family, big overall family, tried to intervene. At the end of the day, EFCC people had been paid heavily to ensure that this case does not die. And they did everything to frustrate me. I was already, it had started becoming like a mental case. And all I wanted was freedom. So you know how it is when they put you under duress to sign that you did something. Even lawyers came to help me that don't worry, we're going to take it up. We're going to fight with them. I just remembered, I said, come, two friends do not go to court and return as friends. They will always become enemies. So if somebody has already taken me this far, I don't think it is wise for me to retaliate with all this. I want my life back. So EFCC did some funny calculations. I don't know how they did the calculations. They said that I'm owing the company 24 million. Apparently they had wrong information about me, which I don't know where they got the information. I'm being vulnerable here because I'm trying to let you know the true situation that happened. A copper was planted in my branch from the head office. I didn't know it was an implant to give information. Who was uploading them with details about my movement and the things I was doing, and unfortunately misinterpreted some documents that he found in the company premises as my documents of other customers, probably for people who are owing and they drop documents of vehicle or they drop documents of property. So in their mind, in the head office, I had already used the money of the office to buy properties in Abuja. I have a plaza according to them. I have a hotel according to them. I have this. And I was wondering, oh my goodness, if I had all this, then I wouldn't be in this tiny cubicle doing business. I would be a big woman in this Abuja. I only scrapped from my savings of over the years to rent a small shop, a shop that is not even up to 10 by 10 feet. So I don't know where they got this information from. So everything was all to pull me down. And at the end of the day, they put some calculations together and say, before they can release me, I must pay 24,650,000 naira. I wanted to, some people wanted me to contest the case and fight it. But looking at the whole scenario and how everything started, I got other counsel that let us pay this money. If paying this money will let this person let you go, let's pay this money. I didn't have anything on me. As at that time, I just rented office. I just started, and we just started from zero. It wasn't as if we had so much in our hands. My parents, my husband, my brothers, everybody put money together for me to pay the first 10 million before EFCC could let me leave their premises. So I was already owing from the beginning. I had 10 million naira that I was owing. And that was what enabled them to let me go back to Abuja so that I can work. I said, it's not as if I have this money. So if you think I have this money stashed somewhere, and then I don't have it. So, but for my freedom, and for me to have my sanity, and for me to leave this very filthy premise, I would rather look for a way to get this money so that you can let me be free to even work, to pay the remaining balance. And for the next 2 years of my life, my international passport was withheld. I was going through, I wouldn't know, I don't know how it happened, but on a monthly basis, I made up my mind that I will not default in my repayment. And I promised EFCC that I will pay this 14,650,000 in the next 2 years. And within the next 2 years, every month as I was working, as I was getting contracts, I was looking for business everywhere. Everything I was doing was being pumped into paying that bill. It wasn't as if I was making profit, but I just ensured that as monies were coming, as I was doing a lot of things, I was just paying that money because I wanted to be free. Because the word that was going around was that they picked me from a primary school. I was nothing. And I became something under their umbrella. And as a result of that, they will see to it that I become nothing again. And I told myself, the only person that has the power to say that is God. Any human cannot bring any human down except I allow it. So even though it was a very painful phase for me, I had to make up my mind. What do I want in this failure? Do I want this failure to define me, or do I want to come out of it? That was the first gospel I preached to myself. And I told myself, I am coming out of this and I'm coming out strong. How it was going to happen, I wouldn't know. In fact, I can't find my pictures that I took at that time. I was looking far older than I'm looking now. I was looking so disgusted. I was looking so old. I was looking so wrinkled because the emotional trauma was enough to break me. Knowing that we are first cousins, our parents are sisters. And because of this, our parents were now not in good terms because everybody was supporting each person's child. As a result of it, the family unit broke in two. Some people were on their side, some people were on our side. Those are the things that happen when business partnerships are not done properly. In the process of everything, one of us died in this fight. Was it worth it? It wasn't worth it. But so many things have broken into pieces. However, how I came out of it is a summary of today's conversation, and that is where I'll be going into now. How did I come out of this? Like I said, I made up my mind that this phase, however unpalatable it was, is a phase that must not define me. It must be something in the record of my history, not my story. It must not become the interpretation of me. So I made up my mind that number one, I must allow myself to know that this phase, I'm coming out of it. How it will happen, I don't know. But till today, 24,650,000 left me. Even me that it left, I wonder how it left me because I throughout that period, I really couldn't account for how it happened, but I kept paying that money. And once I finished paying it, I now gave my business my full attention. I said, now that we have gone out of this, what are the lessons that I have learned out of this? And I began to learn to write out everything. And then when I started when I now resumed my business, I resumed with an understanding of what I went through. Number one, I don't hire with emotions. I don't hire with sentiment. I hire according to people's qualification. And when I hire, I choose people based on certain defined criteria. I don't hire based on the fact that you are my cousin, you are my sister, you are my friend. If you are in any of that category and I hire you, you must still go through the normal procedure of hiring. If I hire you, you will get a proper letter to define what you are doing. Everything must be properly documented. No more word of mouth, no more doing things. The truth is, I knew God had a bigger plan for me. And if I didn't go through that, I would have still gone through it in another way, probably even in a more painful way. And some of those things are the things that failure brings out of us. You go back. I went back and I said, where did I miss it? Oh, yes, I missed it as per documentation. I never insisted that we should have something documented. That was a mistake on my part. And that was one of the things they used against me because at EFCC, they kept claiming that I was a staff. They employed me like a normal staff. Meanwhile, it was word against word because I didn't even have a letter of employment to that effect. So I knew that when it comes to documentation, it was important. Number one, I wouldn't do without proper documentation. Another thing I realized is that I picked from it is that if I'm entering a partnership, albeit I'm doing just partnership for a small thing or a small business or want to just put money together to do something, a lawyer must be part of the process. We must go through proper documentation. I've had cause to do a few after that time that we finished within a time frame and we resolved it and everybody went home happy and okay because proper documentation was put in place. I also learned to trust my instinct. If I had trusted my instinct in 2009, perhaps it wouldn't have been as bad as it was. It would have been earlier and it probably wouldn't have been as bad as it was, like I said. My instinct had been telling me that something was not right. Something needed to change. Please, host, kindly let me know when my time is up so that I'll stop because this story is very long, but I've already finished. I'm already telling you the things I learned from it anyway. Another thing that came out of it was I learned the place of resilience in the failure phase. There's this resilience that wouldn't have come out if I did not go through that kind of experience. It was an experience that hardened me. You know, like when egg enters boiling water and becomes hard, until except egg is ready to endure the heat of hot water, it will never become boiled egg that we eat. It will continue to be flaccid. So I saw myself as that flaccid egg that needed some heat to be hardened. And that heat actually hardened me. So I learned that the place of resilience in failure phase. I could choose to give up and throw in the towel, but I chose to rise without knowing how it will happen. So in the process of going through failure, you don't need to know the indices. You don't need to be able to calculate it. Make up your mind that you are coming out. Make up your mind that you are coming out. How it's going to happen, you don't know. And I know that that's one of the things that you must have read in this Failing Forward book. It's part of the things you must have read. But you see, reading things is different from experiencing it. I'm a number one testimony of failure, and has come out. I also learned the need to feed my mind with content that breeds courage. Prior to that time, I had watched Prison Break. You may say it's funny. What is Prison Break in this matter? I had watched Prison Break prior to that time. And you know, the way Prison Break, I don't know, for those of you who have watched the movie, Schofield and all that, how he broke his brother out of prison and the intrigues and everything, I could see a lot of courage. I don't know how it infused courage in me, but what Netflix, yeah. But he really did something to me. I said, if this guy from nothing was able to enter this prison and he came out, I'm not in that prison. Now, the prison I am is a different kind of prison. I'm going to come out of this thing. All right. So I learned that. And I also saw myself as an overcomer, which is very, very important. And I like to just wrap up by saying that if I didn't have this curveball thrown at me, I will have it sooner or later. I would have sooner or later entered into bigger problems as a result of the loose ends of my life that destiny enabled me to take care of during this phase of supposed failure. So take every failure phase as a learning curve. My summary is that 24 million I paid was like my Harvard school fees to learn the hard knocks of doing business in the wrong way. Thank you very much. I don't know if you have any questions. I'm available to answer them. Anyway, since nobody's talking, let me just quickly chip this in. Since that time, my life has changed. My business has taken a new turn. I have done business in volumes beyond the 24 million, uncountable times that I can't even measure. I can't even state. And the story is different. I'm light years ahead of where I was when I started. Things have changed. The Lord has blessed me. I've increased on every side. Things are different, and I'm better, and I'm able to share my story today. Thank you very much, Kemi. Thank you, Tunu. I'm glad that you were.
Thank you so much, Ife. Thank you for giving us a snippet of your experience. In fact, God bless you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for coming out of that tough, because it means that it not only did not break you, but it not only made you stronger, but it's enabled you to impact the lives of other people. So God bless you. Everybody, as I said, I'm biased. Ife is my childhood friend. This is a copy of Ife's book, Bars with No Locks. Get your copy. You get the full detail of that. She had to rush through it in 30 minutes. You get all the details, all the juicy details, and how you can apply it, you know, what she's learned in business and everything, how you can apply it to yourself. You will get it. It's on Amazon. I don't know if there are other, you know, Nigerian, where people in Nigeria get books. Please let us know. But yeah, hang on. You see upside, Bars with No Locks. Sorry if it's mirror image. So it's time for question and answers. And I have begun to see people's comments here. People are saying very, very deep. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Ife. Someone said, feed your mind with correct content that bring courage. Someone has said, Oluwole Jayo, by reading things is different from experience. So yeah, we start from reading, but yeah, experience is key. We need to learn from our experience and experiences of others. So thank you for that. So can we begin? Can we have questions? We have 10 minutes for question and answer because we have yet another speaker today, Olayinka. I have one question. I'll start off with my own question. While Ife answers that, please drop your question in the comment. My question, you said something about self-talk. I don't know whether that's the term you use, but I feel that's key. It's very key. Self-talk, what you said to yourself in the midst of that darkness. Yeah. You were the one that orientated yourself, say, Ife, this thing won't kill you. You are going to come out stronger. Can you tell us a little bit more about self-talk? Because I think it's important in as we have, as we face failures, businesses, interaction with people, and all our ups and downs, like the things that we tell ourselves plays a key role in whether we survive it, or it breaks us, or it pushes us backwards, or maybe whether we come out stronger. So can you just help us, like, can you give us like practical example? I know you said, something about courage, but give us one or two more examples on self-talk in the midst of that darkness. What are the other things you said to yourself? And those are kind of examples that maybe some of us will be able to take away from here and apply to ourselves. Say, okay, I remember the first said this. Oh yeah, brain, this.
Thank you.
Mind, spirit, soul, and body, listen. So if you don't mind trying,
yes, there was a particular music by one of these musicians called Samsung that I was listening to at the time, and it made a lot of sense to me. And I put it on auto replay, like, I don't know, maybe 1 million times that period. And one of the statements that stood out for me in that was like a rap or like a poem. He said, even though he said, even as the dust is being stepped upon for the purpose of, of other people to, even though you step upon me like a dust, the more you step upon me, the more I rise. That word, I don't know how it just put something in my spirit that even though I'm currently on the ground and you are stepping upon me because you want me to go down, the more you step upon me, the way you step on dust and dust rises. I began to see myself. I said, even though currently I'm on the ground, like the dust rises whenever pressure is put on it, that is the way I would rise. And I kept telling myself that every day. I said, like the dust, I will rise. Like the dust, I will rise. Like the dust, I will rise. How it was going to happen, I don't know, like I said, but I just knew it. I said, look, you know what? No matter how much you stomp me, as long as I'm still breathing, as long as there's life in this body, as long as I'm not dead, I will rise. It's just a matter of time. I will rise. So in my subconscious, I was already above it, even though the physical circumstance didn't portray it. So I will rise. I kept telling myself. That was one major self-talk I told myself, among so many others. But that one is one that I feel most people here will be able to relate with. Somebody also talked about asking about how did I forgive? I don't know if that.
Forgiveness, I don't know if I've answered this question. I was just about to ask that as well. Yeah.
Yes. How do you forgive when the heart runs deep? I must be sincere with you. It wasn't easy. There's a chapter on forgiveness in my book. For people who need the book and get it, it wasn't easy. But I knew that for me to be able to fully come out of it and be able to start life afresh, I needed to forgive. I understood the principle of forgiveness because I knew that as long as I'm holding on to somebody in my heart, I'm only making myself to be stagnated. So I knew I needed to forgive. So I had to do a lot of another series of self-talk on forgiveness. I'm a Christian, I'm a child of God. So I had to read scriptures, I had to read the Bible, I had to feed my mind with content that made me to release. And there was a moment I knew that I had overcome because the thought and the conversation was no longer bringing tears to me. Before, if I was sharing the story, I would be practically shedding tears. But at the moment I knew that I was no longer shedding tears, I knew I had released it. I knew it was gone. I knew the hurt was gone. Rather, I began to feel, I feel compassion for the perpetrators of everything. So when I started,
so you could tell when the bitterness, bitterness left, you could tell by understanding that when you related the story, it didn't bring that anger or hurt or bitterness anymore. You could tell that you could speak about it freely. Yes.
It was when it went that I was able to write the book. I couldn't write the book until 3 years ago. It was when everything really, even though I kept telling myself I'd forgiven, but I knew that it was still remaining small. But I just let go. And in my heart, I kept telling myself I had forgiven because I didn't want to hold on to anything that would hinder me from making progress.
Thank you so much. I've got another question here. Someone is saying about proper documentation. Bear in mind, we have just about 2 minutes left. So unfortunately, we won't have the whole evening to, really enjoy, do this, a lot of questions. There's so many questions, but I'll just take that final question just for 1 minute. Someone said, what if there's no proper documentation and your partnership goes wrong? How can you salvage the situation? And thank you again for Bumi, who said power of positive confession. And that's what we're talking about, self-talk. So Ofemzi's question, what if there was no proper documentation and your partnership goes wrong? How can you salvage the situation? That's a loaded question, but I'll give you a minute to try.
What happened to me is an example, a typical example, no proper documentation and it went wrong. So the way we salvage this is the person who is most powerful out of the two will determine how the dice will be turned, which was what happened in this case. They had the power of money, they had the power of authority, they had the power of power to be able to deal with it, which I didn't have. So the person who has
we just have to pick up the pieces, speak positive to ourselves, and avoid that same error going forward, isn't it? Yes. Thank you so much. A round of applause to my sister Ife. God bless you, Itunu. Thank you for arranging this. God bless, God bless, God bless.
Thank you so much, Itunu. Thank you, Kemi. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I'm sure I've been able to be a blessing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So feel free to carry on with does our coach have something to say before we welcome Olayinka?
What can we say to these things? I was traumatized. In fact, at some point, I was literally almost crying when I was hearing that story. And, the challenge I want to throw to everybody is, what exactly are you going through? What is that thing that you think wants to overwhelm you? Personally, I know that I've gone through challenges, but it is nowhere near what she has described. Challenge that is so bad that even the family is ripped apart. And for those of us in Africa, we know how much family is. Honestly, what we can say is thank you. I'm seeing it in the chat box. Thank you for being vulnerable. And I'm sure that a lot of us have gotten courage to pick up our life again. I can see that the second speaker is in here. These women are very busy people. I can't afford to joke with their time. So we would talk more so that the second speaker can come up. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Sure. Thank you very much again. And without further ado, I would invite Olayinka Oyetuji. We've already gotten your introduction, a wonderful slideshow of your wonderful self at the beginning, a charter holder of CFA Institute, charter accountant, charter stockbroker. We've seen the whole load and we really admire you and we welcome you here. So without further ado, not take too much of your time. The floor is yours, Olayinka. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much, Kemi. Thank you, Read community, for the invitation and the opportunity to be here. My name is Olayinka Oyetunji. If you would permit me, please let me share my screen so that I can talk through my presentation. Could the host please enable me to share my screen?
Okay, 1 second doing that. I'll let you know when it's done. Sorry. Okay, done.
Thank you. Okay, yes, I can. All right, please confirm you can see the screen. We can.
Okay. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Just a brief about me. I'm Olayinka Oyetunji. I'm a senior manager at EY, I work as a consultant with the strategy and transactions team. I'm married to the love of my life, and I have 3 charming kids. I'm a graduate of Obafemi Awolowo University. I'm also a charter holder of the CFA Institute. I'm also a chartered accountant and a chartered stockbroker. I also like to teach, so I lecture on finance courses, especially the CFA. I'm also the convener of Clean with Olayinka. I am also a volunteer with CFA Society Nigeria. In terms of hobbies, I like meeting people, I like writing, and I like reading. I'm very happy to be here. I want to thank the organizers for the opportunity to be here to speak to this amazing group of people. And of course, I also listened a bit to what had been discussed so far. And I must admit that for the few minutes I spent on the call, I have learned a lot. Now, back to what I'm here to speak about, which is learning from failure. I did not think twice when I got the invitation to come and speak, all right, on this topic. The reason is because it's like you've asked a failure to come and talk about failure. And, you know, I really much love the topic, and I don't know if Tumi and Wale wondered why I said immediately when they told me the topic of the discussion. I like to talk about my failures more than the successes. I like to draw attention to where I'm coming from, and not only, you know, what I've achieved today. I mean, you will see all the chatter. It wasn't always like that. This is because failure is something I can relate to. I've been failing since primary school. I've been failing since I was a child. And I don't even want to stop failing because I've seen failure as nothing new. And like Disney said in one of the stories I read, Disney said, I've never been afraid of failure. The reason is because we are used to it. So if you've been failing for a very long time, you know, you just get used to failure. And when failure happens, you find the grit to move on. You know, a few years ago, when I started my CFA charter exams, I started the exams with my brother, and he's the bright one in the house, and I'm the supposed dullard. And when we wrote the exams together and the results were released, I passed and he did not. And he told me, what do they mean that he failed the exam? I mean, to me, I would have rewritten the exam if they told me that I didn't pass. I mean, I would just have, we didn't pass. Okay, let's go and do it again. But the difference between the two of us is that through my own experience, through my failure, I have developed humility, I've developed grit, I've developed courage, I've developed perseverance, resilience, patience, and, you know, and hope, because I've had a series of past failures. Because like I said before, it's nothing new. And what I came to discover about myself is I don't have intelligence. I just have courage. I've seen myself fail and rise. I've seen myself, you know, challenged with so many disappointments and failures. So now I'm never afraid to fail. However, one thing I've known is that I also have the power, all right, to change what failure means. Failure is my favorite topic. And, you know, it's something that I'm very passionate about. So before I go into the next slide, I would like to hear from just one person to share the most recent failure with us. What's your most recent failure? Anybody? Anyone?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I would say, well, I'm based in the UK, so I won't, as per recent failure, I won't say it's that recent, but one failure thing that sticks up in my mind is the fact that I did the driving test in UK. I did this test 5 times before I passed it eventually, before I could drive. And that was over a period of 2.5 years, going on 3 years before I could get this license, and it cost so much money. So that one sticks out in my mind.
All right. Thank you, Kemi, for sharing. And I can see the chat. I see a contract I depend on solely just got terminated. Okay, we're going to get to that. OFEMs, we're going to get to that. Now, let me go to the next slide and show you something. You know, these are the things that we label as failure. We lose jobs, we fail exams, like Kemi has shared, we miss promotions, we are still dependent on people when we think, oh, I should be financially independent. You know, we don't have satisfaction with our careers, or we have a failed marriage, or we have things we call stagnancy, or your path is rough and you just think, oh, I've failed. Now, let me show you a list of some famous failures, all right? People that in the course of their lives, people have termed them as failures, or they themselves has regarded themselves as failures. Look at Thomas Edison. His teachers told him that he is too stupid to learn anything. And for a teacher to be able to judge a child like that, you can imagine what Thomas would have done. But he went on and developed more than 1,000 patents. Look at Walt Disney that said he's never afraid to fail, because his editor told him once that he lacked imagination and no good idea. So imagine our world or our childhood without Disney. Look at Albert Einstein. As a child, he did not speak until he was 4. He did not read until he was 7, and he was thought to be mentally handicapped. However, he still went ahead to win the Nobel Prize and change the world's approach to physics. Let's look at Oprah Winfrey. She was fired from her TV job. She's not a billionaire and owns her own TV channel, you know, and that's a way never to get fired. Look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is regarded as one of the best basketballers in the world. And according to him, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. On 26 occasions, I've been entrusted to take the game-winning shots, and I missed. I have failed over and over and over again, and that is why I succeed. Beyonce, we all know Beyonce. She failed as a child in a competition when she was 9. And of course, Henry Ford, some of us are business owners here. Henry Ford, is now regarded as the father of automobile. All right, and at a point in time, he was kicked out of his own company. Now, these are the list of failures. I would love to be on this list. I would love to be a member of this club, because the most successful and famous people in the world have endured failures in their life. They have failed repeatedly, you know, but one thing is, every time they fail, they always get back up. This week, I was opportune to be speaking to one of the billionaires in Nigeria. I'll call him quiet billionaire. And you know what, we were talking and he was telling me about his business. He said, I've done so many businesses. I've failed at some and I have won some. But do you know why they keep moving on? Because they never dwell too long on the ones that they failed. Successful people don't give up. They don't call it quit. Once they fail, they just get up and move on. And that is the DNA of successful people. If there's anyone that wants to succeed, you just have to get that. You know, you fail, you move on, you get up. Now, let's move on to the next slide. To me, I believe there's nothing called failure. All right, literally, if you check the dictionary, failure means that you haven't achieved a goal. Ife shared a story of how, you know, she kept doing the driving test. But do you know when would have called her as a failure if she doesn't have the license today? All right, but today she has the license. So you can only win when you don't quit on the game. There's a difference between experiencing failure and being a failure. There's nothing wrong, absolutely, experiencing failure. And this leads me to my quote that A favorite quote that I really love. You know, when I was writing the CFA exams, it took me 5 years to get the charter. Ordinarily, normal people, it would have taken them 18 months, but it took me 5 years, all right? Today, nobody asks you, how long did it take you to get the charter? It's nobody's business. And for those that got it earlier than me, we don't put it there that, oh, she qualified 2017 or this person qualified 2010. It doesn't matter. What matters is that as long as you don't quit, you have not failed. You have not failed until you quit trying. And I really love this quote. If there's anything that you are taking up from here, please take this quote from here. So we've looked at the first aspect of my discussion, which is what do we even mean by failure? The next thing that I want to talk about is how do you learn from failure? Honestly, from my experience, the best teacher is failure. And you know, you can always leverage on those things that you think you have failed as launch pad to the next thing of your life. You can use failure as a launch pad to, you know, to leverage and create success for yourself. If only you can develop resilience and passion. Once you determine that this is what I want to do, this is what I'm going to keep doing, then I can assure you that you are definitely going to make it. Failure is something you can use to your advantage. Because what I realize is most times when we fail, we just write off ourselves, we question everything, you question God, you start doubting yourself, you start doubting why you're on earth. However, you need to know that as much as it hurts, failure is a necessary part of life. And it is the pathway to which you would achieve your goals. It's the irony, but it's the truth. Failure will make you better. Failure will make you to improve on your life. It also allows you to reach new understanding. At the heart of failure, all right, is what is called passion and resilience. Once you have grit, passion, resilience, that this is what I want to do, this is what I hope to achieve. I'm not going to quit until I achieve my objectives. I can assure you, you will eventually find yourself succeeding. Let me tell you a story of how I started, how I became a chartered accountant. I had academic challenges in primary school and secondary school. And in the two periods, throughout my primary and secondary school, I was a normal below average student. If I do well, is when I do average, but normally it's always a below average student. You know, my case was really bad. It was as bad as when I was in GS2 and I wasn't doing well in school. My mom took me to a lesson that they should help me with school so that, you know, I could be better in school. And at the end of the lesson, when my mom came to pick me, the proprietor told my mom that this is your daughter. She can't be in GS2 in our lesson. She has to be in GS1. And my mom was trying to resist that. How can someone come to lesson that you should be helping her in GS2? You said she should be in GS1. And the proprietor turned to me and said, 7 times 8. Honestly, I didn't know the answer. 8 times 9, I didn't know the answer. So I ended up being in GSS1 in the lesson and GSS2 in school. So you can imagine the kind of humiliation, all right? Your juniors in school will be seeing you in their class at the lesson. So they know, of course, that something is going wrong. And I also started writing ICANN when I failed the JAMB about 3 times when my mates were already in 300 level. You know, so out of boredom, out of, okay, I'm tired of staying at home, let me just try to do something with my life, was how I entered into the clique of writing ICANN. But something happened when I started writing ICANN. You know, because of the past failure, I was just like, okay, let me focus, let me put my heart into this and let's see what will come out of this. You won't believe that my first prize in my life was a national prize from ICANN when I came 3rd overall. Prior to that time, nobody has ever recognized me or given me a pencil for doing well in school. So I started writing ICANN at 19 years old and I became a chartered accountant in 200 level when I was 22 years old. So what did I take out from that? That ICANN would not have happened if I had not been failing JAMB. That's just the truth. Today, you're hearing Olayinka this, Olayinka that, Olayinka is a charter this, charter that. It was never always like that. It's a result of past failures. All right. So now, if you want to learn from failures, you have to guard your heart. Everything starts in the mind. If I ask you, what do you have in your mind? What kind of thoughts do you allow in your mind? I like to put it out this way. What is your mental movie? What do you see? How do you see yourself? I'm sorry for those that are not Christians, but let me quote this scripture from the Bible, and let me quote what Norman Vincent says, which is my favorite quote. It says, above all else, guard your heart. Everything you do flows from it. Guard your heart. Everything you do flows from it, which means whatever you think upon is what happens to you, and that's the emotions that you will feel. So your thought becomes your physical experience. Another, look at what Norman Vincent also said. He said, throw your heart over the bar and your body follows, which means if you can conquer things from your heart first, then you'll be able to conquer things physically. And I came across this quote from Vincent when I was writing my final exams in ICANN. Then I was working with my boyfriend, who is now my husband today. And I was telling him that, you know, this final exams of ICANN, I've heard so many things about it, that people just fail the exams for no reason, that there's a particular course, I don't know, I'm going to do this. You know, I was just whining. And he told me, he said, throw your heart over the bar and your body follow. That see yourself that you are qualified. Once you can see yourself, conquer that barrier in your heart that, hey, Olayinka, you have qualified as a chartered accountant. Then he said, you'll be able to, you know, experience it in the physical. And I did that, and it actually worked. And since then, whenever I have anything challenging to do, whenever I have anything challenging that I want to, you know, face, I remember that quote. Now, once I can put my heart to it, then I'm going to be able to surmount it, because everything starts as a thought. You have to be very careful the kind of thoughts that you are thinking upon. Your physical experience is a consequence of your mind. Whatever it is that you are experiencing now is a consequence of your mind. So whatever you visualize eventually becomes your experience. What do you think about? How do you see yourself? Some of us, everything you're thinking about yourself is bad. Like, why can't you see better? Why can't you see better about your career? Why can't you see better about your family? Why can't you see better about your business? Because you need to have the right frame of mind. So you have to be very, very intentional. You have to be intentional about what you think. A good mindset will help you to respond appropriately when life throws its curveballs. Because I can assure you, life will always come with curveballs. It will always come, but you need to have a positive outlook. You need to get to that point where you are training your mind that whatever it is my experience is, I'm going to respond appropriately. I can tell you that my life has been very challenging. When I was 15 years old, I survived a ghastly car accident. I could have died. I could have decided to die, all right, because I could have just given up. But I fought, and to the glory of God, I'm alive. What else is it? I've lost jobs before. You know, I've been sacked before. I've faced even barrenness before. But you know, the more life throws these things at you, the more you respond appropriately, the more you train your mind, you know, to respond appropriately so that you can get the right outcome. Now, like I said, your response depends on your perspectives. This is a glass, all right? Some will see the glass as half full. Some will see the glass as half empty. And whatever you say it is correct. If you look at this glass and you say it's half full, you know you're correct. And if you say it's half empty, you are also correct. Perspectives have power and determine whether you are an optimist or a pessimist. I can tell you, I'm an optimist. I am always, you know, hopeful that things will get better. I'm always hopeful, and I throw myself, you know, throw my heart into it and say, oh, this thing can always get better. Let me share a story of what happened to me when I lost my job. you know, when things happen to us, the question you should ask yourself is, do you freak out and just give up and just like, I'm tired? Or do you develop a healthy attitude to it and you say, oh, what can I do? How can I solve this problem? A few years ago, right, I lost my job in a bank and it was my first job. And it was during the financial crisis. So my chances of getting another job was very bleak because more companies were laying off people than recruiting new ones. So what did I do? While I was looking for another job, I completed my CIS exams and I abandoned for years because I was working and I didn't really have the time to write the exams. So the first thing I did was I just picked up the exams and finished it. And then I commenced preparing for the Chartered Financial Analyst exam, the CFA exams. Unfortunately for me, prior to then, I had already gotten the CFA books for 3 years and I did not open it. But when I lost my job, instead of wallowing in self-pity, I just picked it up, you know, and I relaunched myself. And that was why I said you can use failure as a launch pad. Even though that job loss was a sad experience, it gave me an opportunity to rethink my career and it's reignited my dreams. If I had, you know, just given up and said, oh, I've lost my job, blah, 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 I'm sure I wouldn't have the opportunity of speaking to you today. So every event of your life has a purpose. That's what I'm telling you. When things happen, don't just freak up and then, you know, you just want to give up on everything. Your reaction to what happens matters a lot. It's not even what happens that matters, it's how you respond to it. Because for all you get, that lost contract, there's a better contract somewhere else. That lost job, there's a better job elsewhere. So a job loss may be you being lucky and getting redirected. And every day now, when I think about that time, I just say, God, thank you for thank you that they sacked me. Thank you that, you know, it was my name that they decided to pick as the person they wanted to sack because I'm stronger for it. Now, nobody can threaten me that I want to sack you. Do you get? Because I've faced it before, I survived it, and I know that when things like that happen, there is always something better on the way, and that's the way life is wired. The darkest moments are the most defining life moments. Let me tell you, the story will not be complete if it does not have those suspense, those intrigues, those disappointments, those stories of failure. That's the way I see challenges. And you need to be very positive about life. You need to be very optimistic because when you lose something, it's often a path to something else. And that's just the truth. But you know, we often give up and focus on, oh, I've lost this, I've lost that. And we don't redirect ourselves. We don't think about, okay, what is nature leading me to? What else can I do with what I've lost? What else can I find? And that is when those things happen, that is actually what you're expected to do. I shared this story this week, all right, about my recent promotion on LinkedIn. And, you know, I got a lot of congratulatory messages, and this is the story. I got promoted this week to the glory of God to become a senior manager. But do you know that's not the full story? All right, the full story is that the promotion was actually supposed to happen last year, 2020. And you know, when I did the presentation last year, everybody expected that, oh, you know, you're going to be promoted last year. Myself, my colleagues, you know, everybody was already calling me by that role. But guess what? A week after I made my presentation, I was told that, oh, you passed your presentation. You know, like when you want to get a milestone promotion at my place of work, you do a presentation and they will say, okay, yes, whether you passed or not. And when you pass, you know, it moves to the next stage, which is they just get it approved. And, you know, after my presentation, I was told that, oh, you did very well, well done, blah, blah, blah. So I was so comfortable. I was so, I was so sure that I was going to get the promotion, only for my boss to call me a week after the interview. And he told me that I have good news and bad news for you. Which one do you want? And I said, of course, I'm for the good news. Tell me the good news. And he said, you did very well at your interview. Everybody was pleased with you. Everybody was happy with the way you presented. And I was like, okay. And then he said, you know, but the bad news is that unfortunately, even though you did well, we can't promote you at this time. Okay, and when he said that, even though it was something that I had hoped for, I'd worked for, I was so sure I was going to get, I was already thanking God that I had it. I just smiled and I told him that was okay. And he was like, what do you mean? So I said, no, I'm okay with the decision of the firm. And he was taken aback by my response. And he asked me specifically if I was disappointed, that he expected me to burst out in frustration, to complain that, oh, after how much work I've done and all of that. And I told him that I was not disappointed, but actually I was just more shocked than disappointed, because I had already thought I had scaled that hurdle. And sincerely, when he told me that, I just told him that, you know, my promotion is not from the firm. My promotion is from God. And I had already said that, you know, before I realized I was talking to my boss. He called me again over the weekend and he said, are you sure about what you said? You don't seem to be perturbed. You don't seem to be disturbed. You know, I expected that you were going to break down and say, oh, I said, no, that honestly, from my past experiences, when things that I expect don't happen, it means there's something better on the way. That was what I told him. And he was like, what? That the way I'm talking, that he really doesn't understand. And I said, honestly, I'm very fine. I'm okay with the decision. And you know, that year, which is last year to this year, I proposed in my heart. I told God, you have to help me to do better than I did last year. And instead of being disgruntled and complaining and feeling entitled, I didn't do all of that. I was just like, God, you just have to help me to do better than I did last year. And I went to work every day happy, playing the role that that I was not promoted to. But today, everything is history. And what I actually said to my boss, that my promotion is from God, actually happened, because I can tell you that between June 2020, that I lost that supposedly promotion, and July 2021, more than the promotion I would have gotten at work has happened to me. Number one, you know, in March, I got nominated to be named as one of the top 100 career women in Nigeria. Recently, in July, I also got appointed as the chairman of Covenant Community Groups from nowhere. So that is real promotion. So imagine if I had killed myself, that they didn't promote me and I'm feeling entitled, that, oh, the company should have promoted me. Don't they know the amount of work I've done? Don't they know I deserve this? Don't they know I deserve that? No, I would have been missing the point, and I would not, you know, appreciate what God is actually leading me into. And that was why I said, when you fail, you learn humility, you learn patience, you learn appreciation. When I got married, my husband and I waited for children for almost 5 years. Today, to the glory of God, we have 3 kids. Because of that delay, I appreciate children. And I appreciate it when somebody tells me, you know, I'm waiting on God to give me a child, because I know how it feels, because I've been through that part. All right. So it's very, very important in learning from failures that you should try to understand the purpose of each crisis. When you have a crisis, try to learn from it. If you lost a contract, try to sit back and objectively and analyze, oh, what can I learn from this? What can I apply to it? Look beyond yourself and the crisis. You know, when things happen to me, I see it as, I'm learning this lesson, not just for myself. I'm learning this lesson so that I can teach other people. You know, I'm learning this lesson so that I can transform other people. I'm learning these lessons. I can appreciate the and build character and empathy. Your failures are meant to build character and empathy in you. Crisis brings out the champion in you if you allow it. Any crisis is temporary, is never permanent, and it's always an opportunity in disguise. You know, recently, for some people that were supposed to be promoted and they didn't get promoted, when some of them were being counseled, I heard someone say, this happened to Yinka last year, but nobody ever knew. nobody ever knew, because I never discussed with anybody. I never gave my boss's attitude to say, no, I'm not going to take this, I'm entitled to this. So you need to learn that. Every challenge that I have ever, faced has made me a better person, a more resilient person, an experienced person, a patient person, a humble person. I don't take anything for granted. And when challenges things happen, there are times that you don't understand it, but I can assure you in future, you would eventually do. And if you respond appropriately, you would be grateful for those challenges. When you have crises, I would just say, why don't you just learn the lesson, build the character you need, grow the empathy you need, because it is also a chance to spur radical change in you. You should always look at it that you should value the process and not just the product. Most times we always, we always just get carried away and we focus on what we want to achieve, not knowing that the process is also very, very important.
I've just messaged you, Yinka. Do you mind having?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And it's also important that you lead yourself. Trust, love, and believe yourself. If you don't love yourself and believe in yourself, nobody else will do. Be ready to take tough decisions. Never give up on your hopes and dreams. Never let anybody tell you that you are too old to achieve this. Find purpose in what you are going through. Find purpose in the situation in which you are in, and focus on your personal growth. Look at skills that you can develop during your crisis. Look for things that you can build during your crisis. Look for people that you can impact during your crisis, because really that is when the true growth comes from. Practice gratitude. No matter how bad it is, there's always something to be grateful for. If only you could just take your eyes away from all the challenges and focus on the things that you have, you would appreciate, what you have. There are so many things that we take for granted, so many things. A few weeks ago, I got infected with COVID, all right? And I wasn't ill, all right? The only thing I noticed was that I lost my sense of smell and my taste. And for about 2 weeks, I would be eating, I wouldn't, if I close my eyes, I wouldn't know what I'm eating. And, I told my husband, I said, do you know that if somebody cooks for you and you can taste that this food is not nice, it's something to be grateful for. That you can be in a place and you can smell whether, it's a bad smell or a good smell, it's something to be grateful for. But these are things that, we just take for granted. If you would just, be grateful for the things that you have, you would redirect your mind. You would change your thoughts towards those things and be more appreciative. Lastly, I would like to say that sometimes we always look at a bend as the end when we refuse to take the turn. So do not confuse bends for ends. A bend in the road is not the end of the road unless you fail to make the turn, which means everything that happens, the outcome of whatever happens to you is your decision. In conclusion, I don't see failures. I only see an attempt of doing something new I'm yet to master. I hope that from today, you're going to learn to see failures differently. Thank you very much for listening. Over to you, Ife.
Thank you so much, Yinka. God bless you. That was so inspirational and so humbling, I must say. So everyone, it's time for your question and answer. I think we will probably be overflowing. It's so humbling. Offense has confirmed that I'm so when there's no entitlement to the blessings, again, forgive me for referring to the Bible, just like Job that says, God gave, God took away. I give God the praise. And that's your attitude through life. And look at how you've been rewarded for that. So very, very humbling talk. So much to learn from it. Can can we have questions, please? Let me see if I've missed anything. Questions, people have given some things they've noticed. Yeah, I wrote my comment earlier. You said the best teacher is failure. That's so good, because literally the school system has programmed us to just think success is the only way. And, when it's not success, we fall apart. But you've toughened up, you've grown so much through all years of failure, even through the school system. Therefore, you literally taught yourself in that way, because the school system didn't work for you as it should according to the program. But you fell through it, and then look at you shining with ICANN. I know I struggle with ICANN. I struggle with ICANN. I'm not a chartered accountant. I went a different route, so I know what you mean there. Those are really tough. So, questions? Anyone? You said something. I will start off with the question. You said something about mind movie. What is your mind movie? I want to just ask. I know you've toughened up a lot, and obviously, if your mind movie wasn't right, obviously it couldn't get you where you are now. I think I've lost you in the screen. Let me just go to gallery view. But my question is, what was your inspiration? Like, I know now you're a career woman, and we can see you as a grown adult that has formed through your life experiences. But how did you cope? What was your inspiration when you were in, like struggling through JS2, your secondary school? Because you were young at the time. Can I ask, what was your inspiration then? How did you feed your mind at that time with positive thoughts? How did you cope through the secondary school system and, your struggles with it?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm the first child and the only girl in a family of 6. I have 3 brothers. And you imagine you're the first child and you're the one that is failing. All the boys will come home with gifts for prizes they've won, and you are there. And it seems like, you're the odd one out, and parents would, of course, always reward the person that comes home with the gifts and all of that. But I just, through that time, one thing that I learned from it is to talk to myself. So I developed my writing skills from that, because I was just always by myself. First, I'm the only girl, so there's no other girl to talk to. I developed my writing from that. I saw myself specially, irrespective of whatever anybody says about me. Now, when I got to GSS 3, and I was, when you get to GSS 3 and you're moving to SS 1, you're supposed to choose whether you're going to arts or sciences. At that time, I had a dream of becoming a pharmacist, and I told my mom I wanted to go to the sciences. And she said, you can't go to the sciences. Sciences are hard. It's not for people like you. I didn't like the tone of that. And I told her that, yeah, it might not be for people like me, but that is what I want. And I insisted that I wanted to do sciences. Though I struggle with sciences, but I learned something. I shouldn't let people define who I am. So I started developing that, that confidence in myself that, no, I'm not going to let you tell me what I can do or cannot do. So that's where, that thing came from. And then I started becoming independent. I started defining, okay, what kind of life do I want? What kind of home do I want to build? What kind of man do I want to marry? That's where it starts from. So maybe I would call it, focus. All right. I just had that focus. Maybe it's just a gift. I just had that focus. If I say I want to achieve anything, I always go for it. When I wanted to start CFA, my friend told me, because he was already a charter holder. I was 30, and he told me that, you just want to start CFA at age 30. When you already have a child, you are married, how are you going to cope? CFA is one of the toughest exams in the world. And I said, yes, I know, but I want it. And I went for it. Eventually, I finished the CFA exams with 3 kids, but I have it now. So once you see, I believe something, once you put your heart to something, once you are determined you want to get something, nothing can stop it. God cannot stop you from what you have put your heart to. That's the truth. Ola.
Thank you so much, Yinka. And it also sounds to me, you said you were looking for the right one. You said focus. It also sounds to me that you are a goal setter as well, because you begin to ask yourself, what do you want? What kind of life do you want to build? And you begin to kind of itemize it and say, this is what I want for this is what I want for. It sounds to me like setting goals, knowing where you want to go. And as you said, you were saying something, just the last statement you made, I'm sure I might misquote it, saying, God cannot stop if you have set your heart. But actually, I will beg to even rephrase it to say, God puts those desires and goals in your heart.
Exactly.
And your resilience in making them come to pass is, it's definitely pleasing to God and is a blessing to this generation. And while we're at it, I will want to recognize your friends who are with us on this call, friends of Yinka who has joined us, Mary, Ola, Mitide, and Wale. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for supporting your friend. Thank you for being part of Read Community today. Thank you for supporting this amazing presentation. We're all absolutely blown away and humbled by Yinka. And on the same note, I have a question from Yinka for Olamitide for you. It says, how do you get past persistent downtime in career? And how do you keep pushing for opportunities and even taking some roles beneath you? So how do you handle that bit, like that bit when you're knocked down in your career and, if you can help with that? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Olamide, for that question. Now, when you have a downtime in your career, it's a time for you to build the skills that you need. I got sacked from a bank job that I was doing for 4 years. Actually, the bank job was not what I wanted to do, but it's always difficult for you to leave, an existing job and saying, oh, this is not what I want to do. I want to do something else. So what I did was, while I was looking for another job, I started building the skills that I wanted for the role that I was pursuing. You want to become let's say you want to go into finance. You are currently in customer service. What do you need to do? Go and start getting the skill sets that are relevant for finance. That's one. Number two, don't ever think that there's something that is beneath you or this job is so disdained. Do you know how I started my career? I started my career by issuing ATM cards. I was a chartered accountant and I was a cop, and they gave me a table and a chair and they would say, giving out ATM cards. It didn't look like anything, good would come out of it, but I did it with joy and humility. Like when customers come to my desk, I will serve them with a smile. I will do it like, oh, this is the best job I'm doing on earth. So even if you're a security guard, just do it with your heart, because you really don't know whether the angel that you need to come and open the door for that thing that you want to do is in that place. But most times you're always too blinded and say, oh, this is not what I want, and you're disgruntled, and you don't know that your destiny is actually in that supposed job that is beneath you. So whatever it is your hand finds to do it well. All right, today, okay, I'm celebrating, I'm a senior manager. I have people that are younger than me that are partners, but I don't care. It's my journey. I'm proud of being a senior manager, so everybody has his own journey. Just face your journey and be grateful for where you are.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. I think we have time for, is there any more questions? Or am I handing over to Itunu? Thank you much. Thank you so much for the inspiration and for gearing us up and letting us know failure is the best teacher. We're really, really inspired. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Ika, it's amazing to have you. This has been some awesome 2 hours of my life. And everybody, you've heard her. Truly, she's very humble, as in, that is one thing I can tell you free of charge. You've seen that profile. top 100 career women in Nigeria. It's not more. So with all this that you've heard, I was just listening and I was listening. And one thing that kept coming to me is don't give up on yourself. I know how traumatic it can be to have failed grades, especially when it looks like everybody is succeeding. And out of the failed grades came all the chartered. One of the chat box says everything chartered accountant, chartered broker, chartered this, chartered that. And it is this, Yinka, I think this has just been very, very amazing, very reflective, and that's why it looks like. What question would you ask now? Thank you for the slides. It's very beautiful. We thank you for your time. Ife, you stayed all through. We know that you're very, very busy. Please, I need for everybody to unmute their mics and tell these beautiful women a very, very big thank you from
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so we've kept the time from read. We've come to the end of August webinar and we are still moving. I don't know what state you might be in your life's journey right now, but with what has been shared, guys, to move ahead. One awesome thing that Yinka shared with us is, it is me against me. It's my journey, it's my life, it's my race. I'm not competing against anybody. And irrespective of what, I still move. I sincerely believe that the next time we are going to have a review about failure, we will be sharing your failure stories turned to success. I've written that exam 3 times, but now I've passed. Yes, I was sacked from that job, but now I'm a CEO. Yes, I had this problem, but I came up like cream. I floated on top. And we are looking forward to your success story. Kemi, thank you so much. Mary from Nairobi. Africa, Ghana, everybody, we move. Connected by technology, connected by the same vision. Niyi Ariyo, you rock. Thank you, everybody. And from Read 7 o'clock, good night. And keep failing forward. As we say, Read, meet you at the top. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Itunu. Thank you for hosting another fabulous meeting for us this month. Thank you for arranging it.
Yeah, thanks.